And I am back Friday night at the Hard Rock in Atlantic City with CM Punk on UFC Fight Pass. We will have the call of CFFC 74, headlined by Atlantic City's Cesar Balmaceda against Sydney Outlaw. Pat Sabatini also on the card. Now, I'm going to try this name. I think I'm going to get it wrong, but I've been practicing a lot. I've watched a bunch of his fights. I'm just going with Zolk Kamchybekov. That dude's a killer. Watch this fight, man. And this man right here, Eddy Torres, making his pro debut. Now, I've watched a couple of his Muay Thai kickboxing fights, and I'll tell you, I'm very intrigued to check out what he's got Friday night against Jacob Dorman. I'll have the call on UFC Fight Pass along with CM Punk, but right now, Eddy Torres, he joins me on the Boardwalk Honda hotline ahead of the big fight, CFFC 74. Eddy, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing, man? Thank you for having me. First of all, everything's going great. I feel great. I got a tough test ahead of me, but we prepare, with the respect that my opponent deserves. But yeah, man, I'm glad that I'm on this call, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, now I know I've done these calls a lot with different guys, and a lot of times, Rob from CFFC will say, hey, make sure you get him on, a little bit earlier on in the week because you guys turn into miserable SOBs as you're cutting weight later on in the week, right? How has all that gone for you?
Well, so, again, also thanks to Rob. Rob Haydak is the man. CFFC is the best promotion around. I fought for all the promotions, and CFFC is the best around. My weight cut is going great. I'm not stressed out. I'm not angry. I'm not grumpy. None of that. I don't go through that. My fight camp was hard enough that allowed me to lose a lot of weight. I'm only a few pounds away from making weight, and I got a great team. Jonathan Webb, my professor, he's with me every step of the way. Daniel Gracie, Coach John, at the Extreme Evolution Fight Camp. So I got a great coaches. I got a great team. My team, Taino Martial Arts and Fitness, and I'm awake, and I'm ready to go. I'm happy. I'm excited. So.
Yeah, well, Jonathan Webb's a guy, talk about your relationship with him. I've called 2 of his fights. He's been at the UFC. Obviously, he's a guy that's local here. You're fighting out of Collingswood, but he's a guy, and you have other gym affiliations, but he's a guy who's an active fighter. You also train guys, but how much has Jonathan being an active fighter and being a part of this helped you out, and what has your relationship been like with him along the way?
So Jonathan actually took me under the wing. I was doing a lot of training for all the wrong training. Jonathan was, he's a veteran. He's honestly one of the legends in the sport, and he leads by example. That's the main thing I have learned from him. He doesn't tell you to do something that he will not do himself. I remember watching this man cutting weight. He was doing push-ups in the sauna. I was amazed by that. He's shadowboxing in the sauna like nothing bothers him, and he definitely has been a mentor. He's been a great, professor. He's like my brother, but yeah, man, he's been with me every step of the way. He's the in and outs. This guy being in the UFC. He's definitely one of the best out there, and anybody that's listening to this should go out and check out Webb's Fitness and MMA, man.
Yeah, he's a guy that we've always enjoyed watching his fights. The last 2 fights that I've called, he has been very entertaining, but he's a student of the game. And, talk about your experience. I watched some of you. It looked like some Muay Thai kickboxing is kind of where you kind of got your start and how you kind of morphed, your black belt. You got your brown belt with Jonathan Webb, and how you've morphed from that world into now becoming a professional at the MMA, in the MMA world.
So a lot of people don't know this, but my mother was actually a boxer. I learned how to fight from my mother. My mother is the first one that ever taught me how to throw a punch. So striking to me came naturally where I boxed and I did taekwondo. I wrestled. I did a little bit of judo, but my jiu-jitsu I thought was good. And then I met Professor Webb, and he showed me what real jiu-jitsu is. And, I trained my jiu-jitsu under him. And I also go to Daniel Gracie, and Daniel Gracie gives me some tips and pointers and, helps me a long way. But, just the jiu-jitsu aspect of things, it's like playing chess with human body parts. I fell in love with it. And the way Professor Webb teaches, man, it's crazy. A baby can understand the move, and the details, and he makes it so easy for us to understand the move. And believe it or not, he has so many killers at his gym. You go over there and you roll with the white belts, they feel like purple belts. So, my jiu-jitsu is improving every day, just training and being around these guys, Also training with Sean Brady, man. Like,
yeah.
If you talk about hard worker, that guy outworks anybody. He's like the general of the team, and he leads by example. That's one of the guys I look up to. Sean Brady is definitely the man.
I was just going to bring him up. I'm glad you did. Eddy Torres, CFFC 74. He's part of a great card, 2 title fights this Friday night, Hard Rock, Atlantic City. See it live. We gave away tickets all day yesterday. Phones were ringing off the hook. If you can't be there, I will have the call on UFC Fight Pass with CM Punk on Friday night. Now, Eddy, you mentioned Sean Brady. He is a guy who obviously got the call. This is a great ground. And for you making really your professional debut, how big of an opportunity is it to be a part of CFFC 74 when you see all these guys that you just mentioned, that you work with, that you train with and look up to, get that call from the UFC? It feels like doing this, there is a light at the end of the tunnel that can be achieved.
Oh, yeah, man. Without a doubt, I trained with Paul Felder. He was part of the CFFC, Sean Brady, Professor Webb. Honestly, fighting for CFFC, I'm not even looking past fighting for CFFC. I'm waiting for Pat Sabatini, another training partner of mine, to get that call to the UFC, and then I'm going to make my way up to that CFFC 145 title. That's my goal right now. I'm the type of person that I take one step at a time. I don't rush things. So I'm not really looking, like saying, I want to go to the UFC. I'm more thinking that once Pat goes into the UFC, because, rightfully he should be in the UFC. Once he makes it to the UFC and that title is up for grabs, I'm coming for that title, and I'm going to get that title, at the 145. And if everything goes according to plan, I will be going down to 135 and getting that title at the 135. And then if the UFC, 1FC, or somebody else comes calling, then if my coaches tell me it's the right fight and it's the right call, I'll take it.
I like that. There's a lot of 145 fights on this bout, by the way. B.J. Young, Cafaro, Michael Lawrence. Troy Sterling, whose brother Aljamain is up at the UFC level. So there's a lot of 145s on this card that you will get a kind of chance to stack yourself up against. And you mentioned Pat Sabatini. I would imagine that Pat feels like if he wins this fight, that his phone should ring.
Yeah, definitely. I think Pat should have been in the UFC. I can't believe this guy fights at 45. And why I don't believe that is because this guy is strong. Like, I wrestle with 170-pounders and wrestle and 200-pound guys, and he is strong. His jiu-jitsu is crazy. His striking is legit. Like, he has no holes in his game. Like, he should be in the UFC, and definitely when he makes it to the UFC, I guarantee you he's going to be in the top 5 within a matter of, like a year. He's going to be in the top 5. That guy's unstoppable, man.
Eddy, who is currently your favorite UFC fighter to watch, and kind of who do you follow when you get a chance to sit down and watch a UFC event?
Well, so I got 2. The number one, now I have 3 because Sean Brady just made it to the UFC. So, Sean Brady is definitely one of the most exciting fighters I've seen. But, I've been a big fan of Frankie Edgar, and I trained with him before. The guy's so humble, so nice. He teaches well. I say Frankie Edgar, Paul Felder, and Sean Brady are my top guys that I really, really, really look up to, and my favorite fighters,
Well, which is really cool about this sport in particular is that you could be just starting and get an opportunity to train with guys who you look up to and who have had a ton of success. That is something that's really unique in that particular sport.
Yes, without a doubt. And, and it feels like you never stop learning. Every time you go into the room with these guys, you never stop learning. It's like you go into that room, you learn something new every single day. you know. So that's something I always look forward to, is the learning experience of things.
You got Edgar Max Holloway coming up for the 145 this summer. So that one will be one that's very interesting, which is your weight class there.
Yeah, I definitely have my money on Frankie Edgar without a doubt. I think Frankie's going to grind them. You know, even the Ortega fight was kind of an early call for me. Like, you know, they call that too early. I seen Frankie being hurt more than that and still come out on top in one fight. So I got Frankie winning that fight, you know.
All right, man. Well, Friday night, you'll face Jacob Dorman, who's 1-1. You're making your pro debut, your amateur record 2-0. A lot of fighting in your background, and that's what makes these cards great. You got a lot of guys starting out, a lot of guys trying to find their way as you get up the card all the way to the top. Pat Sabatini defends his title. Cesar Balmaceda is the interim lightweight champion, and Cesar 6-0. He's waiting for a call as well. First bell, 7 o'clock. The main card at 9, and we will have it live on UFC Fight Pass with my partner, CM Punk. And all right, man, Eddie, we will see you on Friday. We wish you luck, and we appreciate you telling our listeners a little bit more about you.
Hey, thank you so much. I also want to everybody that's listening from Allentown, Pennsylvania. You guys know I love you. Everybody from Big Alta, Puerto Rico. You guys know I love you. And thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, good luck, man. We appreciate it. We'll see you Friday. Eddy Torres is a part of CFFC 74 at Hard Rock, Atlantic City this Friday night. He is on that card. You will see him fight Jacob Dorman. That's the third fight. And it will be a part of the undercard and the main card, which features a lot of Jersey guys. Joey Tizano out of Franklin, Ryan Cafaro from Cherry Hill, Emmanuel Wallo from Jersey City. You've got Pat Sabatini from Bristol, Cesar Balmaceda from Atlantic City, B.J. Young from Jackson, New Jersey, Brandon Davis from Wilmington, Delaware, Miguel Diaz out of Vineland, Sergio Dabari is from Saddlebrook, New Jersey,